We don't give because we have much. We give because we know what it's like not to have. Our family, the Galaxy family, a Fiwi family, whether home or abroad, we interact, we de-brainwash, we no watch clock. No authority pay us for this or that. We, the family, do all of that. We build the temple of know thyself. Now doctrination and religion is heading for other house because our family doors are tightly closed. Our family, the Galaxy family, a Fiwi family.
You're in tune to the Nubian Forum People's Talk Show, live here on GalaxyAfiwi.com. www.GalaxyAfiwi.com. Akwaba, in the name of the creating force of the universe. The omnipotent being that which is greater than ourselves, who has many names. Uludumare Nkulukulu. Kwame Blafashe. Mungu. Onyemi, Ja, Amen Ra, Ashe, Ashe, Asheo. Divine peace, long life, stability, and good health. Mundubafu to the ancestors who fought the enemies of Mama Africa for the last 6 millenniums. Mundubafu to the ancestors who died in the many man's musical situations, whose bones lay beneath the many seas, the many oceans, the many rivers, the many lakes, the many swamps, the many deserts, the many trees that they were lynched at, the many graves of this world. We rise them up and venerate them. Madasipa for your sacrifice. Mudubafu for the ancestors who had the intelligence to write our stories down on books, stones, papyrus, scrolls, put them in audio, put them in video, so that we would know the accomplishments of our ancestors, where we're coming from, how we arrive where we are, how we survive the tyranny and terroristic nature of our natural enemy. Or we were successful, or we were beaten down and rose again like a phoenix out of the ashes. Or we survived. Where we were successful, where we failed, the mistakes we made, the corrections we need to do, and where we need to go. Maduba fun to those ancestors who gave lectures, who gave classes in their bedrooms, who gave classes underneath the trees and zinc, who met after the work from sun up to sundown in the night to plan their escape. Muduba fun to those ancestors. Madase for your sacrifice. We give thanks and praise to our ancestors. We will never forget you. We will always remember you. We do not worship Doppy. We honor Doppy. You understand what I say? So we give thanks and praise to our ancestors. Akwaba to the Nubian Forum People's Talk Show. Live on the Facebook, live on the .com. Rise up to Stephen Ferguson, Dr. Stephen Ferguson, catching Black Ear next week from the hours of 7 till 9 p.m. See, every Thursday. Tonight I have a special guest in the studio who I'm going to introduce not too long from now. But I played that tune by Michael Gordon because I think the tune was so poignant. And the strange thing about it, I heard that tune on a radio station called Lockdown Radio. I just accidentally clicked on the thing and it came up, and that tune was playing. And I thought it was so poignant for the times that we're in. Michael Gordon, who many know was one of the investigators, has had a very brilliant solo career, and hopefully one day I'll be able to interview him. But I had to play that tune because it was so poignant. You know, we're going to sentence them. You over somewhere say, Duncan, hold tight. Beverly, hold tight. All the people that more tune in on the Facebook. Big up on yourself. Julie McGregor and all the crew. Yeah? Rise up on yourself every time. Because we give thanks for the people them who is tuning in. Rising up every time. Rose Spencer, big up yourself. David Campbell. Dwayne Brooks, big up yourself every time. Long time I not see you. You know, people, we're living in extraordinary times. And you always hear me on the radio when I speak. Doesn't matter what I'm speaking about. Doesn't matter the subject that I'm covering. I always quote a brethren of mine. A brethren that I've known since we are young men at secondary school. And a man who grew up with, you know, the Brixton days them, you know. But a man who didn't waste his time. This man grew up in Brixton. His parents was in Brixton. His father and mother decided to go back home. And he took on the family home. He went to school in Brixton. And did a lot of little things. But one of the greatest things that he did is that he carved out a career for himself. He worked for a very big company, was earning a lot of money. But it didn't satisfy him. And he will tell you that story. He needed something more to really satisfy him. So he gave a well-paid job to teach young people. And he went into an institution and thought he wasn't getting nothing from that. And then he went on to teach himself the tutoring. I'm going to introduce my friend, colleague, and Seba, Pi Ratio. Come in at the house, Pi Ratio.
No fluff,
yes,
family.
No fluff.
No
yes,
fluff,
no
brother.
So let me make sure you might there. Hold on, let me make sure you might there. Talking to the mic there.
Can you hear me?
No, you might not there. Hold on there. Hold on there. Go on now, talk again.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me, family?
Hold on, go on.
Family, can you hear me?
Yes, you're live. You're live.
What?
You're live.
Wow.
You're live. Yes, so Pi Ratio is in the house with us. Otep.
Otep, my brother.
Yeah, make sure you talk in the mic as well, because more everybody here is. Now, Pi Ratio. You're a mathematician.
That's what they say.
Yeah, you're a mathematician. And you've been doing mathematics a long time.
About 20 years now.
20 years, yeah. But before we get into the whole thing about the maths,
sure,
and what you're doing right now, I want to I want the people them to know who you are, because you know you're in the space of an unsung hero. People don't know about you.
All right.
Yeah, and people are getting to know about you, but they don't know about you. Okay. And so I want people to know a bit about who you are.
Who I am.
Yeah, you're Pi Ratio. And where did you grow up?
Brixton. Yeah. Brixton, born in Dulwich Hospital.
I was born in Dulwich Hospital.
Yeah, I saw you.
And Dulwich Hospital be born too, you know.
Dulwich Hospital. And I'm a twin. I'm actually a twin, and my twin lives in Thornton Heath, and his name's Paul. We went to Brockwell Primary School, and then from Brockwell Primary School went to Tulse Hill Secondary School. And yeah, they were tough times, but they were good times. Very, very good times.
Why you look to the people?
All right. Okay. Yes. From school.
So what primary? You're in Brockwell.
Brockwell Primary School. And
That don't exist no more.
No. That's it is.
Is it St. Jude's now?
No. That's what is it called? I remember.
Rosendale.
No. Going up.
What road was it on?
Tulse Hill, going up to Brockwell.
Oh, Brockwell, where the flats is.
Yes.
Oh, seen. Yeah.
I'm not sure what it's called now, but yeah. And then I went to Tulse Hill Secondary School, and I did.
No, I don't know. So what was primary school like?
Primary school, my memories was fun. It was just fun. I didn't. It was just fun. We didn't do a lot of work. Didn't seem to do a lot of work. It just seemed like a lot of fun in them days. You know, most of my colleagues were black students. We had speckle of white students in there, but it was mostly black students, and it was fun. Yeah, it seemed to be fun. You know, towards the end of primary school, you started to get a little sense of all this time you've really been wrapped in cotton wool. You've been protected from a lot of what is really going on, and it's only when obviously you leave primary school that the veil comes off, and that's where life kind of really starts.
So what year was he born?
63.
63?
Yes.
You didn't see me?
Since the hospital, no.
No, you didn't see me because you come in after me.
Yeah.
Got 62 me born.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
Me see when I come out. So you grew up in Brixton.
Yes.
In the 60s and the 70s.
Yeah.
What was it like at primary school? I mean, when you went home, what was the home life like?
It's interesting.
You grew up on Barnwell Road, didn't you?
Barnwell Road. Mum used to do sewing, and in the morning she used to go out and
I think all our mums did sewing, didn't it?
She used to go out in the morning and do cleaning, and then when she come back, she used to do sewing. And we had a little job whereby we had to cut the thread off of the bags and things that she sold, and we got a little money for each one we cut off and that kind of thing. To me, they were quite...
That's what my mum used to do early morning cleaning.
Yeah.
And then come in and do sewing.
And then do sewing.
Did your mum used to go down to Morley's and get the patterns? And buy the pattern them?
She used to do sewing for a company like...
Seen.
Like in Soho, they used to sell up and them ends there.
Seen. Yeah, so she worked from home then?
She worked from home.
So I know just know people that work from home?
No.
Eh?
From then. And within all of that, she used to cook. There used to be a place called the Melting Pot.
Yeah.
And she used to cook the food down there. And Melting Pot was a place for some of the youths, them, and male and female, who had, had a bit of bad luck in their life. And Melting Pot was a way of them trying to find their feet and that kind of thing. And so, she used to go down there and cook. And I used to go down there with her sometimes. And, everybody knew me. The good, the bad, the indifferent, everybody knew me. It was a beautiful place to live. As far as I'm concerned, growing up, you see all the badness going on, but you just felt protected.
Yeah,
it was more of a community vibe back then. Without
and you actually lived in the heart.
In the heart of it,
yeah.
And I remember many of those bad men. Some of them who have passed on, and others who are walking a lot more slower and what have you. They always used to say to me, make sure you got school and do the right thing, even though they weren't doing it, but they knew. And so, and those things always stuck with me, and to this day I see many of them, and we always stop and
So, you're toddler in Brixton.
Yes.
And you run around. Did you used to run and play out and all that type of stuff?
My thing was football. We were football mad, and so we used to come out. There was a school just down the road, Ephra,
yeah.
So we used to climb over the fence and go and play football over there with a few other men them. And sometimes we weren't even allowed to go out. And my dad, he would come and he would climb that fence and come over there, and he would know he was over there, and he said, right, don't make me reach home before
Yeah.
you.
You know the one.
Just go about his business.
Yeah.
Do not make him reach home
Yeah.
before or else. Those were the good old days, man. You know, you knew what time of day it was. You know.
So you go through your primary school.
Yeah.
Did you have to go Sunday school as well?
Sunday school, because my dad was Sunday school driver.
Oh,
So he used to pick up the children for Sunday school, and many of them I know to this day. They used to go to Sunday school, and that was in Herne Hill, on the top of Herne Hill there.
I used to go Sunday school with my missus.
Yes, that's right. Yes. And her sister used to play the piano.
Oh, really?
Yes, Yvonne.
Mm?
She used to play the piano there. Yeah. When because I was a bit younger than Yvonne, but I was in awe of her. I used to admire her a lot. I really thought she was really talented, and not that I don't think she's now, but I think she was really talented. And you know, and I was in awe. I wanted to sit next to her when we got on the.
Because she used to play the piano.
Yeah, because she used to play the piano. It's weird, isn't it? But yeah.
You never told me that.
Yes.
So what was it like going to Sunday school?
Sunday school. I used to enjoy going to Sunday school just to meet up with the other children and have a laugh and a joke. But I felt the teaching was a bit hypocritical, even from those early stages, because they used to ram it down your throat. And even though they were
You have to do your golden text.
you have to do your golden text, all that sort of stuff. But the thing was, is that you had questions, and they were not always able to answer the questions. You just had to just believe,
Yes,
and that was it. And I had a problem with that. With that. But yeah, you know, and many of those Sunday school teachers, some of them who have passed on, again, you know, it was a case. I'd see some of them even up to maybe a few years ago, and those same questions they still don't have the answers for.
Well, what kind of questions were they?
Questions such as, where is heaven? Where is hell? So what do you have to do to actually get to heaven? Is there something whereby you're on the border? What? Because you're young, you don't know. You know, so what is the score to get there? You know, no, you just have to do good. You can't do bad. It was a bit like that. So, you know, after a while you lose interest because it's not real. It doesn't seem tangible.
So what age did you stop going to Sunday school?
Oh, I would have stopped going to Sunday school somewhere in my, I suppose, early secondary school. Secondaries, when maybe
late teens,
about
15,
about 14, somewhere around there, yeah.
I think it was all around about the same time, innit?
Yeah.
I think I went up until I was 15.
Okay.
I said bunk Sunday school to go Clouds.
I went to Clouds a couple of times. I wasn't really, as much as I admired that scene, I wasn't really into that. My brother, he was more into all of those raving. I might go to the odd one or two or what have you, but it just didn't really hold me. For whatever reason, it just didn't really hold me. Even though I liked my music, because I had my music selection, I used to play that in my room and all of that, but to actually go there and to me it felt like hard work, if I'm honest with you.
Hard work. I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it, mate. So you went to Talkshow?
Yes, Talkshow.
What was it like? Secondary school, Talkshow.
Yeah.
What was your first day like? You know, it's your first day at secondary school. You're going secondary school for the first time. Obviously, I mean, you had your twin with you, so
yeah. But I remember the first day, because the first day there was a lift that you couldn't use, because that was for the teachers. Yeah. So, and there was a brother named George. He was the lift operator. That was his job. He used to operate that lift. And I remember they must have been 5th years and 6th form. They weren't allowed in that lift, and they bombarded him with the word of spit. I was watching, because I was obviously outside the lift, and he was in there. He wasn't allowing him in there. They just harped and spit all over him. I just couldn't believe it. I thought to myself, where am I?
I used to be amazed by that a school had lifts in it.
It had lifts, yeah, because it had 7
Because
floors.
it was tall, innit?
It had 8 floors, but the lift only used to, it used to go up to, it had 8 floors. 8 floors it used to go up to. Tall lift. It was, that was a place whereby very quickly you had to get in tune. You had to align yourself with what it is you kind of want to do. Because my first day was full of trepidation. You didn't know what to expect. There seemed to a lot of little groups. Some was playing penny up the wall. Others were playing table tennis. You know, and you as a year 1 student, you think, well, where am I going to fit in? That was the first kind of thing that flooded me, you know. And I remember in one of my first classes, I was getting teased for being a virgin, because some of them apparently were not virgins. So you know that was, and they wore that with a badge of honor. You know,
11 years old.
Yeah, at 11 years old. You know, I you know, and so yeah, I used to get teased for that.
I've got a question. Does he know trigonometry? Trigonometry, geometry,
but
we're gonna get to that.
Yeah, okay.
We're gonna get to that.
Right.
We're gonna get to the maths questions. Don't worry, we're gonna get to the maths question. But I want you to know a bit about who he is and how he arrived where he is. So you know, that's easy. We're just moving smoothly.
Yeah.
So your first year.
First year again, felt my way through.
Was you and your brother in the same class?
For the first year, I think for the first year we were, but then after a while, the different subjects, you weren't in the same class. We were in the same tutor form, where you had the register, but then there were classes that you had where you was in different classes. They put you in different classes, and they had this.
I never knew you was a twin, you know. All the years I've known you,
yeah, there you go.
I never knew you was a twin. You see, so you can learn things,
yeah.
But can me know your brother?
Yes.
But me never know so you're not twin.
Yep. And he was born before me.
Yeah.
21 minutes.
And you taller than him?
And I'm taller than him, yeah.
You understand?
Yeah.
Can you the crabbit? You never have the food in the fetus.
Okay. I'll take your word for it.
That's the maths.
That's the maths. That sure
But
is.
you're not ID twins, are you? You're not.
No. But we vibe each other a lot. I might be at home watching a movie or a comedy, and it cracks me up, and I'll be phoning him, and the phone will be engaged because he's phoning me. Things like that.
Yeah. So you have that twin thing going on.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing, that twin.
Yeah, it's a buzz. It's a nice buzz. I mean,
it's telepathic, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. You know, and I feel blessed to be part of that union, really and truly. You know what I mean? Because you kind of always got somebody in your corner.
Well, in traditional African culture, anybody have twins, you know, they're regarded as special.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Special people have twins, you know. So you wasn't in the same class.
No.
And then you go through the years. Take us through the years.
First 2, almost 3 years, I have to say, were wasted. And they were wasted from the perspective whereby I couldn't get to grips with how the teachers were teaching us, because they assumed that you knew things. They didn't try to find out, and as the years went on, you realise they weren't even interested in finding out. They were only interested in ticking the boxes. And so for the longest time, after a while, you found that, well, subjects that you didn't feel you could deal with, you just hid, sat at the back of the class, hung out with the ones them who were feeling just like you, and not really getting involved. Like history, maths, science,
English,
geography. There's quite a few of them, nearly all of them.
Biology, chemistry.
Yeah, they were boring. They were horrible. It felt like a winter's day, cold. There was no connection. And so for the first 2 to 3 years, I was in a lot of the classes. I was really I felt as if I was just, pardon my French, peeing in the wind. Believe me. And it wasn't that you didn't want to learn, but it was just that you just felt they were speaking a different language. I just didn't get it. I didn't understand.
Was it the teacher then?
It was the teachers. It was the teachers. And many of the teachers, a lot of them were either white or they were Asian. And you know, and there was no value there because they didn't respect you or your culture or nothing. So you just had to join their thing. And school is not supposed to be like that, but that's how it was. So you know, if you didn't really have a connection with any of the teachers that you were having class with, you could easily get left behind, quite easily. And before you know it, you're in the years where you have to pick your lessons and all that kind of thing. And you know, it wasn't really nice.
So when did the moment change for you then? Because I mean, you're going through school, you're not understanding what the teachers are saying and things like that. It became boring. What changed?
I tell you what changed for me personally. I was just really tired of getting joke grades. I was tired of going into a class and the majority of us as black youths were deemed to be troublemakers and less intelligent than the other students. One day I was in class and it was a maths class and I was sitting at the back and all we was doing was rolling up paper and showing and them kind of thing. And I remember the teacher's name was Mr. Ahmed and he put some stuff on the board. It just didn't make sense. I think it was some fractions at the time. It did not make any sense whatsoever.
Let me stop you there, Mom.
Yes.
You know when you said it didn't make sense, is it because you was messing around in the back with the guys and you weren't really paying that much attention, or is it because even though you paid attention, you couldn't get what he was saying?
It could, because when I first went into class, you don't just go in there and start playing around. You're paying attention and you write down, but then you say, well, how do you get from this point to that point? Because when they put stuff on the board, I get to understand they're either doing it from some handout, a sheet, and they have a question and answer sheet. The bit in the middle, which is the bit that we need as students, was never given, and was never given freely. Never given freely. Whether it be history, whether it be science, whether it be maths, it was never given freely, and that was the problem.
So to the point now, sorry to cut you.
Yes.
So to the point now where the light bulb came on, and it changed for you.
Yeah, I was a year 3 student, and with how family life was good because mum, dad, and they both worked really hard. Dad used to get up early hours of the morning. He worked out in a place past in Sussex somewhere, far. He had to leave out early in the morning, and not Sussex, Weybridge.
I think all of them had to leave out.
Weybridge, right. My mum, she used to get up.
After the year 3.
Right. Out them sides. My mum, she used to get up early, and she had to start her job by about 5 o'clock, cleaning job, and she'd finish that one and go to another one before she come home to deal with us. So as we get to year 3, we're kind of dealing with ourselves now. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm just thinking, because you do, well, as a youth you do, I'm thinking, well, you know, I've got to be starting to add some value. That's how I felt. And I was going to school, and I was in class, and I was coming home not learning nothing. So I went to school not knowing anything, and come home not knowing anything. Parents them days didn't really jump down on you. What did you learn today? Because they were too busy with their stuff. Yeah. So I was in class.
They were too busy trying to make ends meet.
Absolutely, put food on the table, right? And you know, you have parents' evening, and the teacher would come across as if to say, well, you know, Patrick's a lovely boy. Lovely.
Very patronising.
Yeah. Lovely boy. And I used to say to myself, hold on a minute, you never used to reason with me or chat with me, to know how lovely I was. But he just doesn't make the effort. And it's not that he's bad or destructive, he just seems to be not interested. And he hangs with the wrong crowd. Right, so that's kind of how it was. That was kind of how it was. And as I said, I was in class one day. This was in year 3, before going into year 4. I knew when I went into year 4, it was decision time. You had to make a decision on what lessons you were going to do, where you were going to be. And I said, no, I've got to get the hang of this. I cannot believe that them students are just smarter than us. That was what went through my head. I was mad. So I got up and I went and I sat at the front of the class. And I sat next to a brother named Bertram Gulab. Never forget this brother. He was an Indian brother. And I said to Bertram, you really understand what I'm going? Do you understand what's going on? And he said, well, you know, I've got a pretty decent relationship with Mr. Army. And I said, aren't you the lucky one? He said, but what you need to do is if you write down the numbers, write down how he's done it on the board. Then when you go on, just change the numbers and follow the same process. So I said, all right, I'll give that a go. Within the space, and this is no lie, within the space of, I'd say, 5 to 6 weeks, whereby I was getting C's and D's in the exams, and everyone had the exams, I was getting B minus, B plus.
Wow.
I thought, I like this. Like I thought, I'll have some of this. That's exactly how I felt. And from that day, what I did was, I always took down the notes that was in class. And I learned a skill from that, which I'll share later. But it was important to take down the notes, and then when you go home, you just change around the numbers and follow the same thing. And that's kind of how that led me onto the path that I'm kind of...
So you did that, and that changed the course of how you started to study?
Yes, definitely. I was interested in going to the library, because I wasn't before, because I had a purpose now. Because when somebody says, go to the library, if you've got no purpose, why are you going to the library? But I had a purpose. I wanted to understand numbers now.
So what was it about the numbers that you liked?
What I liked about the numbers was the fact that you could have a sum that didn't even seem to mean anything, and you could actually move these numbers around and get an answer. But the thing was, these sums related to something. It's just that you didn't know what it related to. And once I started to work with numbers, I realised that numbers, they all relate to something. Well, the ones you do at school don't necessarily, because they call that pure maths. And those are just fractions, algebra, calculus, quadratic equations, whatever it is. But then you have
quadratic
equations, and then you have applied maths. They relate to systems, whatever you're working with.
That's formulas and all that.
Yes, because you know, like the banks, they use whatever systems, you know. And
so, were you good at physics?
Physics, I was very good at physics.
You know, because I enjoyed maths when I was young.
Yeah.
My dad taught me maths.
Wow.
My father, he taught us maths rough. It was my father taught us to write. It was my father taught us to read, do our alphabet. When I went to secondary, when we started primary school, I could do my alphabet, I could read, and I could count.
Well, I had my sister, my oldest sister, her name's Pat, they call her Mercedes. I remember she was teaching us our alphabet, and we had to learn it. And do you remember them plastic flowers?
Yeah.
Plastic flowers.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. I remember peeling off the plastic, so you had the wire. Yeah, and so when you didn't, you got the letters wrong. You got a touch with that. So yeah, we soon got that straight.
My dad and I actually loved maths, and I did quite well in maths in primary school. It was when I went to secondary school, it all dilapidated.
Yeah.
No, after the second year in secondary school.
Right.
When I went into the third year.
Right.
And that's where it went. It just went downhill with it. But what I liked about maths, I liked working it out.
That's the one.
That's what I did like.
Puzzle.
Yeah. I did like. I've got to.
Yes.
you know, but then that never got no further. So that's
You can't blame yourself. It's not you.
That's a whole nother story.
It's not you.
So your life changed now. So you go through school and you did that.
Once I get to year fourth years, I'm firing now. I'm really on fire. You know, books, maths books. You know, some I found useful, some I found useless. Because it's not everything that maths is in makes it good. You know, you have to know why you're reading this book, and you don't read a maths book like you read a normal book. You go to a particular area, a particular discipline, and you look about understanding the formulas, how they're put together, understanding each component. That's what you do. You write it down and you put it into your own words. Because maths is a language. It's a language. Fourth year, as I said, it opened up to me, and I just couldn't get enough of it.
So what grade did you get when you did your exams?
Well, I got O levels. I got O level maths, O level physics, and O level geology. Those were the three that I got maths, and I got grade 3 English. Those were my main subjects, really. Didn't really do anything else. Those were my main subjects.
So you get those grades.
Yeah.
You're 16.
Yeah.
Mum and dad's happy with you.
They are happy.
What did your brother get?
He didn't do too well because he didn't go any further, and he was a lot smarter than me. I was the slow one. The slow way meaning you'd have to tell me 2 or 3 times. He was very, very quick.
So what was it with him then?
When you are quick, you're a child who's kind of has your own kind of mind. They look on that as being problematic. They you know, they give you a label and they say you talk too much and this. And you as a teacher should realise, well, that child has got some extra skills that, you know, if we harness it right, but they didn't have that skill.
Got a message here. Altec pi ratio. I love maths.
I'm glad to hear. That's good. Maths, listen, maths is around us. Everything we do, from the time we get up to the time we go to bed, it's maths. Yeah. Everything is maths. Even, I listen to many of the debates that you have on your show. Many of the debates about the different topics. There was one where you were discussing about the people was in Trafalgar Square. They were demonstrating, and you had a sister who phoned up, what have you.
Oh, the Battle of Trafalgar.
Yes. It's all maths. It is all maths, because obviously, with regards to numbers, the more people that are demonstrating, the more that government have to take notice. At the end of the day, you have to synchronise a lot of things to get people at the right place at the right time. It's all about numbers. It is all about numbers.
So you leave school with good, very good grades.
Yeah.
Did you go to college after?
I didn't go. I went to college to do electronics, but because college is a bit of a cop out. If you leave school and go to college, you usually go to college because you haven't done well in your school. So you go to college to play catch up. Unless you're doing some external course. I went and I did electronics, which you didn't do at school. I really wanted to do electronics, get involved in that sort of stuff. And so I did that, and I got a BTEC in electronics. And then I decided I didn't want to do electronics. Maths was really what I wanted to do. And so I ended up going to uni, and I did a computer science. That combined the electronics with computers and the maths.
Yeah, the maths. Yeah.
So that's what I wanted to do.
But those days, just put the phone down on it, innit?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So you go uni, you get your computer science.
Yeah.
And then what happened after that?
Then you got to go out into the big bad world, and I got a job with Reuters. Reuters, the name's changed now. I think they're called Thomson Financial now. But they used to be the ones, you know, like when you're watching the news and you see the scrolling bar at the bottom, they bring you all the latest news from around the world. That was part of their remit, but they also used to
work on the stock market.
The financial industry.
Yeah,
they provide financial data.
I think they're still around.
His name has changed because they've been bought out. Thomson Financial, the guy Bloomberg bought them out. He bought them out. The boy in America. Yeah, and so I used to the stock market. My job was really to manage the investors, their pages, because they used to see data. Behind that, you had logarithms running, and so, for example,
stop.
Yep. Stop. Yeah.
You're gonna have to tell us all what logarithms are.
Yeah, sure.
Logarithms.
Logarithms.
Yeah. Because when you started to work for Reuters at that time, the computer system was far different than it is now.
Yeah.
I mean, the principle's still the same.
Yeah.
And the basic principles says ones and zeros.
Yes.
But it was different, and the programming was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, because you had like COBOL, Pascal, LAN,
logarithms, and all that.
They were the programs that they used to write the languages in. A logarithm is a rule. For example, it might be like an algebraic expression which sits behind the software.
The software.
So, for example, let me keep it simple. Say you go into the bank and you want to get a loan. Now, you fill in a form, and you fill in a form with the cleanest heart. You fill it in because they say if you come and you do this, there's logarithms running behind that system because the data goes on a computer. And the logarithm might say, well, right, if the applicant, lives in South West London, then they need to answer 4 other questions to get this loan. You don't know about that.
Oh, see.
Yes, that's what your logarithm is telling the system. Do you have bad credit? Have you been in trouble with the police? And if any of them flag up, don't care how good you are now, you ain't getting it. That's what logarithms are. I call them weapons of mass destruction. Because you don't know. You go for credit, you don't get it. You go to get into a school, you don't get in there. And it's not that you can't pass the exams, but they've got these logarithms sitting behind systems.
Logarithms,
All right? So
I
that's
knew
really
about
what
that.
they are. That's really what they are. They serve good purposes as well, but for us as a people, they cause.
So when you used to do it, was on them things like them on some little kind of plastic paper kind of thing, and you click. It's got holes in them, innit? Is it that one?
No. That was more to do with time punching and all that kind of stuff. I know what you're saying. Yeah, that thing there, that used to be the old IBM programs. They used to read it. They used to read it. We was a bit more advanced than that, but but I know what you mean.
But I remember that from school.
Yes.
So that's what we used to do when we had to dial it and put the thing down and all that. You remember?
We had the big servers and but it had reached a stage now where big hard disks were involved now, and you could load stuff in and
floppy disk and
all that kind of stuff.
So you're at this moment, and were you getting training to do that type of stuff?
You were getting trained on the job. You wasn't getting the access that many of others were getting, but in your own way, you felt as if you were rising up the ladder. But when you check it, you wasn't really rising up the ladder. But at the time, you was in a job. Many of your other peers, they were not working, but they were not doing what you were doing. So you felt a little bit privileged. You felt like, well, I do something. You know what I mean? But after a few years, when you're doing the same thing, you might even be a manager, but you're not getting the same money that other managers are getting. You think, well, hold on a minute. You know, and I had a big team because we had a follow the sun approach. Because if you're supporting investors, investors operate around the world. So when we clock off at 5 o'clock or somewhere like that, or 6 o'clock, whatever, you know, Australia and all them, they're coming on board and they need support. So you have to have a team in a different part of the world following the same process. You understand? So it was my job to kind of set that up, and so they had a format to work with, and that was what we did, and I enjoyed it. I did it for 10, 12 years.
So you did that. While you was doing that job, you know, because you're tall. How tall are you? You're tall.
6'5".
6'5".
Yeah.
So you're 6'5". Black man. Wearing a whistle and flute. Going to work and thing. What was the environment like?
the environment was very typical white environment. You alright, Pat? How's it going? You know, you and them is friend in that environment. Outside at the weekend, they probably won't even recognise you. It was like that. It really was like that. You know, because there was many of them I see out of work in a different era, and they didn't recognise me, so I didn't even bother acknowledge them. It was very much like that, and they felt that you were one of the good ones, because we're not viewed as a decent set of people. We don't get no ratings from anybody. Let me make this very, very clear, and I can remember this very, very distinctly, even though I passed exams and gone through the process that many of them hadn't even gone through. They'd got through the back door because they knew somebody. You still had to, you know what I mean, prove yourself, and you could never do it in this. You could never do it. Never. It's a bit like having a fraction. If you half it every time, keep halving it, you're never going to get to 1. You're never going to get to 1.
So you felt that, did you feel, I know you never feel intimidated, but did you feel like them not deal with your right?
You know what, I had a good network around me. My sister, she used to work at the American Embassy, my big sister, she passed away now, and obviously I had my twin. My mum, she was my best friend, because she would always, you know what I mean, advise me and what have you, and you know, she always tell you about all them steer and what have you, and you know, and anyway you're there, you just did it for that time, so make sure you set yourself so when you're ready. So I wasn't really phased, to be honest with you. I wasn't part of the in crowd, and I wasn't interested in getting in on the in crowd. Now and again, you know, they'd have a little something, you might show a face, and then you're gone again, you know, but I wasn't really into their thing. That was it, and you know,
so you travelled the world a bit,
travelled around,
doing that
around.
job, innit?
Yeah, travelled all around.
What places did you go?
I was in, worked in Egypt for a while. Worked in.
Where, Cairo?
In Cairo. I was in Cairo. Yeah, I worked in America, a few of the states in America.
You worked in Europe a bit as well.
I was in Geneva. Yeah, that was good. I was in Germany, France. Those were the countries, I think. Spain. Yeah.
So what made you leave? Because I mean, you're doing that job. You're doing quite well.
Doing good.
Earning big money, but then you had a moment.
Well, while I was doing that, you know, every day now I come back to Brixton, my turf. That was when I felt good, when I reached Brixton, and then I would hang out. I'd take me time to get home. You know what I mean? See a couple of the men, then we'd have a chat and ting and whatever and ting and blah blah blah. You know what I mean? Judah had a Rasta shop down the bottom there, and I used to go in there and have a little reason and ting and what have you. And I decided while I was working that I would start a maths class, and I started it in my mum's conservatory. You could have about 3 or 4 people in there, and I said I'm just going to start maths every Saturday for free, because I was earning good money. I didn't need any money, and it wasn't about the money for me. It's just that I felt really good that I could be doing this job, and it was all to do with the fact that I knew a bit of maths, and I figured, well, I want to open the door for somebody else. That's what I did. I started doing maths for free, and you know, I started off with my son. When I first started it, I started off with my son.
That's your big son?
My big son, yeah. And then a couple of his friends came on board, and then I got a friend named Stephen, and he brought a couple of his daughters, and that's kind of where it kind of from there. And I did that for years for free, just did that for free.
And so you did that for free, but you were still working at the same time.
Yep.
What made you leave work? What made you leave the plantation?
I tell you what made me leave the plantation. When Reuters, before Bloomberg got it, Multex was involved, and when I was working with Multex, I was going even more places with them on a regular basis.
So Multex was another company?
Yes, a takeover company. And because what I was doing was quite demanding, it was needed, right. But then what got to me was, oh, wait a minute, I'm at the mercy of whoever takes over here. If somebody else takes over, then depending on how they feel, depending on what direction they want to take, so I'm at the mercy of these people, and I wasn't comfortable with that. Even though there was no inclination that they were looking to move me or nothing like that, I just wasn't comfortable with it. And so I inquired about redundancy, and they said they wouldn't advise it, but if you want, you could get a redundancy. And they offered me £23,000. So I said, all right, leave that with me. So I went home and I did the maths, and they were wrong. They were wrong. When I've gone back, the redundancy is £35,000. Thank you very much. I'll have it. Have a nice day. That was it. And then I just used that money and I invested in a laundry.
Yeah, I remember the laundry, mate.
I invested.
I remember the laundry.
But yeah,
Tumbles, isn't it?
Tumbles. That's
Tumbles,
it.
me outside.
Tumbles Laundry, 113 Relton Road. It's no longer there, mind you, but yeah.
And then you started to take the teaching quite seriously.
Yeah, I did. Because when I had the laundry, and then what really happened was I had the laundry, and me and my missus was running the laundry, and she had to go back home to Jamaica. Yeah, and at the time our daughter was 3 years old, and she had to go back to Jamaica to sort out papers and things. And they said it was going to take 3 months. It took 4 years.
I remember, yeah.
4 years. They were one of the most darkest moments of my life, because now I've got to be a dad to a 3-year-old girl. My wife had gone back. She was pregnant with our son. So I had 2 families now that I had to look after and manage and meet their expectations. And I thought to myself, how am I going to do it? Plus, I had a business that wasn't really making any money per se. So what I did, I sold the laundry. I'd already fixed up the upstairs. Because I had a couple of flats in there, but it was one building. Sold the laundry, used the money to make sure that my wife and child was all right till they could come back. And then I had to get myself involved in some work, and I wanted to teach, because that was where my passion was. And so I got, it was easy for me to get a teaching job, and I started teaching, and I was working at Lewisham College, doing teaching there. Goldsmith College, teaching there. And what I found...
What were you teaching, maths?
Maths, yeah. And what I found at these places was that, again, many of the students were black, yeah, and they were being shortchanged. But many of the students that had come there didn't even know why they were there, because obviously they weren't doing well at school, so this was just the next port of call. So I was able to maybe wake up a few, but the problem you have, or I came across, was the system. When you meet students who you know have the potential, and you want to give them a different type of teaching that will give them a level of understanding about their self, that will help them to understand the subject that they are learning, the school didn't want that. The school didn't appreciate that. The school were not comfortable with that. They said, no, you...
So are you saying then, Pi Ratio?
Yes.
That the school...
Yeah, and colleges... And universities...
Yes. Don't want the children to learn.
They don't want the students to know their self, because if students knew that numbers, they are from numbers, that their people were the ones who created numbers, yes, they may look at that subject a lot more favourably. because the way it's packaged at the moment, it's not recognizable.
So when you was learning maths, I mean, you got the love for
Yeah,
maths, and
yeah.
then you went and you was working for Reuters.
Yeah.
Did you know that your ancestors were the creators of mathematics?
No, I didn't know that. I was only like after, as I immersed myself more in it. That was when, because when you start, you have to look up what some of these terms mean, and when you start looking up and you trace it back, you say, "Hold on a minute, that's so far this go back." When you do maths, you have an inquiring mind, so it makes you want to search, because maths is about logics. So why is this formula here? What is it made up of? Like a puzzle. So you're always trying to solve the puzzle. And maths, if you follow it far enough, it takes you right back to our people. Our people. Pythagoras and all these boys created nothing. They created nothing. Make me tell you that. And I'm putting it on record. It's a fact. Because all of those so-called scholars, whatever you read about them, it's after they're dead. Nothing was written about them when they was alive. No, but at school, at college, at uni, these are the people who are pushed in your face, and there's no connection. It's a bit like a youth who likes the Nike trainers. Yes, he loves Nike. He goes to his local Nike store, and when he goes in there, the latest Nike is wrapped up in an Iceland bag, and it's got an Iceland logo. What's he going to do? He's going to walk past it, because he doesn't recognise it. Well, that is what they've done to maths. A lot of the signs that you see in maths, it puts you off. But if you understand, you think, what is that? What it means? And that's the thing. That's the missing link when they're teaching maths and the processes. You know, that's this.
I always quote you on that, you know. And I say it's a process. My brother Parisha says, always say follow the process.
It's all about the process, you know.
So, you start teaching for free, and then you leave Reuters, and then you sell the laundry.
Sell the laundry.
Mrs. is in Jamaica. You're looking after your little one there, and things like that. And so, Mrs. has come back.
The Mrs. comes back in
4 years later.
4 years later, and so when she comes back now, you know, I'm a little bit confused, because when she left a certain way, and as far as I was concerned, when she's coming back,
she's come back the same way.
She's coming back the same way, but time stands still for nobody. Again, it's numbers. So you know, and when she's come back, you know, I've really had to get my arse into gear, because even though I was doing the maths and the teaching and whatever, I wasn't really firing on all cylinders, you know. And when she came and she saw the state of play, you know, there was no, well done for keeping the ship afloat. There was none of that. It was straight into action. No, you need to wake up and whatever. You know what I mean? So that time was even a little bit bumpy. Just getting back, you know, the missus getting everything on a firm playing field and things like that and what have you, and it drove me more into my books even more, you know. And then I started to realise, well, no, I can really do something with this, you know. And she's really the backbone behind me putting myself out there and the work that I'm now creating and doing and what have you. So yeah.
So you started a little kind of thing over in Flores Road, wasn't it? You was teaching you had a little.
Yeah. There's a little play centre there, a CAF, and I used to do sessions over there. But their timetable was up and down, and so when you're doing maths, you've got to be consistent. There's got to be a level of consistency and what have you. And one day it was open, there was another day it wasn't open, and you know, you really can't convey that to students who you're teaching. And some of them are coming from a distance, and so no, that didn't work. So I wasn't there for too long, and then I took it back to my house, and then basically at the end of the day, I created an environment. As I say, the conservatory is quite long, and then I started holding group sessions, one-on-ones and stuff like that and what have you, and that's when it really took off. from there, really.
Yeah. You taught my son and my daughter.
Yep. I'm still teaching. Still teaching. Yeah.
So it took off in the house.
Yes.
You're doing the maths now.
Yes.
What I want to take you back to, you said that you noticed from school to college to university, they're not teaching you maths.
No, what they're teaching you their form of maths. For example, like with the maths that I do now, you know, I teach it from a African perspective. You know, if you study African culture, there is a load of things that they did. For example, they have is it called? You have to excuse my pronunciation. Tepesep, and it deals with order and structure and how things should be done. Now, I use that with my maths. You know, and it has. I think there are.
Did you start doing it like that, or you just?
I was doing it like that. I was doing it like that, but it's only after a while when I start to research African maths and African culture that I say, well, I'm making some connections here, and I'm thinking, wow, this is amazing, amazing. So I had it in me. I had it in me. This is a calling. I had it in me. I have a way of passing on numbers to a student who doesn't understand, to our students. And even though there are many Caucasian students who somehow get my details and want to jump on board, I primarily teach black students because our students have to. There's got to be a vibe. Number one, numbers from back in the day has come from love. It's created from love. When we're teaching our students maths, there has to be a level of love, meaning that you generally love the child. You want to see the child do well. You want the child to understand. You have to understand the child first. You can't just teach them maths. You've got to understand that child. There's no point in me writing on the board if the child is blind. It makes sense. So you spend time to understand and that's what I mean. Schools don't do that. It's a conveyor belt system. They throw out a blanket, and whoever fits under that blanket, so be it.
So is it because they can't them don't want to do it, or they have the inability to do it?
I don't think they have the ability, because schools were originally created out of necessity to feed industry. When the war was going on, they created the schools, and they just wanted to have a conveyor belt of children coming out and going into industry. That's what it was really all about. We, as a people, we came here. They couldn't cater for us. We ended up, you know, like when you go to a tailor, they make you a suit that fits you. We asked the school in here it's off the peg. You got to lengthen the pants for Tanal and so on there. That's how you're taught here. Do you understand? And that's why many of our students don't get it, because it doesn't fit. It doesn't fit their psyche. It doesn't fit their understanding.
So when did you come to the realization that, you know, you had to teach maths with love? Because I think that's very, very important. Very important. What the hell is happening here? Sorry about that. Sorry about that, people. Sorry about that. Yeah, go. What made you had to do that?
Well, in my early days of learning of teaching maths, you come across many students of different types. Yes, different backgrounds. You have to have some genuine love to understand a child. You have to have something in you, some genuine empathy, some genuine love, sincerity to teach a child, because you have to understand that child. You have to understand their makeup, what's happening, what's going on for them. You can't just teach. And so, which establishment does that? Which establishment's got the time to do that? It's about numbers again. People, they don't have time for that. So your child goes to school, there's no love there. Children are very sensitive. They lose their sensitivity as they get older. But they're very sensitive. They can pick up on things. Those are skills that we lose as we get older. Right? When they come home and they tell you, say, teacher don't like me, you need to pay attention to what they're saying. And so for me, teaching children, I was able to offer genuine love. I could share stories about myself. What can a white teacher share to our children that is going to make them understand? Because you have to start off with something. I always tell children about myself and let them know what I went through, the struggle that I went through. Because when we was going to school in the days of the Teddy Boys and skinheads and all them thing there and what have you. So you're able to tell stories. And everybody likes a good old story. Everybody likes a good old story. And if the story's real, they can connect.
Do you find then that technique of telling a story to children about who you are, to our children, about who you are, enables you to get closer to them and enables you to be able to disseminate the mathematical things that you give to them?
I'll give a prime example. I had a student many moons ago who his mum brought him to me because he wasn't doing well at maths and he wasn't really interested. He was a bit of a gallus. Yeah? And so I remember the first lesson we had. I can remember it as clear as daylight. And I said, you want to learn maths? He said, no, really. So I said, why are you here then? He said, well, my mum's brought me here. I said, all right. I said, what do you like? He said, I live in the fast lane, man. So I'm talking, I live in the fast lane, man. I said, explain it to me.
So what age was he?
He must have been about 12, 13. I live in the fast lane. So I said, explain it, what do you mean? He said, well, I bought 3, 4, 1. I said, really?
And he about 12?
Yeah, he's 12, So I said, okay, let me ask you something. If you lost 8 or 9% of your girls, do you know how many girls you would lose? So what do you mean? I said, well, percentage means part of something, right? I applied it to what he was interested in. He was interested in trainers. He was interested in girls. That's the kind of thing that he was interested in. So I applied the maths. I said, okay, well, let's look at this. If you have X amount of girls, so you have 30 girls then, right? And you lose 8% of them. How much have you lost? What do you mean? Straight away, I said, okay, I'm able to put the sum up on the board. But I'm aligning it to what he likes. So now I've got his...
So he thinks he's learning about what he likes. What a maths he had him.
Maths, because everything is maths.
True.
And so that is how I drew him in. You know what I mean? And he's gone on. I see that brother there recently, and he's a big electrician now. Big electrician. And he can never stop thanking me and whatever. And I tell him, I'm still doing... And he said, why? I can't, never. I said, it is what it is. Thank your mum. Because she's the one. She is the one who believed in you, and she brought you to somebody who also believed in you. So that's,
You're in tune to Nubian Informed People's Talk Show, live here on GalaxyAfiwe.com. Inside with the man himself, Pi Ratio. Pi Ratio, you've got a radio show that you do on a Wednesday.
Yes. What about it?
Oh, tell the people them about it.
All right, okay. Can I mention this?
Yeah, of course you can.
All right, it's on the rock926.com, and it's on every Wednesday between the hours of 4 till 6 p.m. And what we do on that show there is, well, the format is very simple. My 2 children, Miles and Kumaya, they come on the show every week, and they provide the audience with, the listeners with, some actual facts. They do some research and they bring mathematical facts, but from their age level. And they share it with the listeners, and then I usually pluck out a subject. Might be last week we did surds and irrational numbers, and then we just break it down through the session. We just break it down, give people understanding. We allow people to phone in, and if they don't understand, say they don't understand, and we will slow it down and explain and things like that. It's just a maths talk show, really, where we have people phoning in, and they can share what concerns they have. If they're having problems at school, phone in, because we also talk about some of the issues going on at school, some of the problems going on at home that cause the issues at school that people don't want to talk about. So we it's a can of worms, but we also offer solutions. We don't just come and air stuff. We offer solutions, but we give people actual facts, facts that some people may not realise or just don't know. And we also try to give you some quick and easy math tips that can help you to...
So what's a quick and easy math tip you can give people who's probably got their children? Some of their children might be listening, might be watching. What is the easiest way to grasp maths?
The easiest way to grasp maths is to do it. That really is the easiest way. But for example, this evening, before I came out, me and my daughter, we were just throwing numbers at each other. And so I said to her, what is the 7th squared number? So she was a bit flummoxed. So I said, the first thing you must do, write out 1 to 10. Write out 1 to 10, and then just times each one by itself. So if you go to number 7, 7 sevens, 49. There you go. That's the 7th squared number. So that's just a quick and easy tip. So you can just write that out, and then you know your tables. And if you don't, we can teach you them. But it's really good. That's why the 4 main pillars of maths: adding, subtraction, multiplication, and division. If you get those right, half the battle is won. Half the battle is won, because all them other subjects, like one of your listeners mentioned trigonometry. I hope you come back, by the way, because I'm waiting for you. Trigonometry, they're all based on those 4 pillars of maths, because once you know those...
So what pillar is trigonometry based on?
Well, trigonometry deals with sine, cosine and tangent. It looks at the area of a shape, which is usually a triangle, and you can use Pythagoras' theorem for a right-angled triangle, and you'd use trigonometry for anything else that's not a right-angled triangle. And you're usually looking for, there's this formula for sine, cosine and tangent.
And what's the formula?
Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cos is opposite over, what is it?
Don't flop now, you know. Come on.
It's adjacent over hypotenuse. I'm just figuring it out. And tangent is opposite over adjacent.
Someone just said, what is algebra?
Algebra is a combination of numbers and letters. And algebra came about because people started to deal with big numbers. You have and instead of writing out big numbers, like for example, you write like 100k, 100,000. K stands for 1,000. That's how it started. And so they use algebra as a way of working with big numbers. But now what they do, they even put algebra in small numbers. But algebra simply means whatever is on one side is equal to whatever is on the other side. So if you have a combination of numbers and letters on one side, and you have like a number on the other side, you have to work out what the unknown is, which is the letter. And that's what algebra is. That's exactly what algebra is. And you have to use, and again, you're only using adding, subtraction, multiplication and division when you're dealing with algebra 9 times out of 10. So unless it's squared. But 9 times out of 10, you're using those 4 pillars.
You're in tune to Nubian Forum Talk Show, live here on GalaxyAfrica.com. Now, I'm going to kind of open up the lines for people to, if you got any kind of maths question that you'd like to ask Brother Pi Ratio. Before we go any further, I'm yawning because I'm tired of it. I've been up since morning. But Before going any further, could you explain to us Pythagoras, Imhotep's theorem that Pythagoras stole?
Right. Simply, in a nutshell, what they're saying is a squared plus b squared is equal to c squared. Now, if you have a right angle triangle means that you have the long bit is the hypotenuse, and you have an adjacent and you have an opposite. They're saying that the two sides, a squared plus b squared, is equal to c squared. And once you know that, once you know that, you should be able to find out all the other sides.
Otep Kala. Hold on, I have to turn off this thing.
Good evening to you. Good night to your.
Hold on there, Kwabena. Hold on. Let me just turn off this thing here. Yes, go on, Kwabena.
Yeah. Good night to your guest inside the studio. Yeah. I was reading the other day that maths is the woman have played a big role in maths. I was reading the other day because of her monthly cycle. Yeah, it was basically in a simple form. Yeah, absolutely. The woman was the first one to start counting. Yeah, up to 28, 30 days because of her monthly cycle. So therefore, the author was saying that maths is greatly indebted to the woman. Yeah, I don't know if what your guests have got to say about that, but to me it kind of makes sense as well. Yeah, because if a woman is healthy, she would always do her thing on that precise date all the time. So over the years, she probably start counting the days, and maybe that's the way the calendar came about, or something like that. But I was reading that somewhere not too long ago. What have your guests has got to say about that? Thank you very much.
I give thanks.
Family, I think that's a beautiful, beautiful question, and I think you've actually hit the nail right on the head, because I think we've probably read the same book, because I read whereby when numbers first came about, you have to look at it logically. When the original people first appeared, right? What would have been the purpose of numbers? Man would not have needed to have known how to deal with numbers. But the woman, who has always had a cycle and was very much in line with nature, would have used numbers to work out when her cycle was going to come, or when it would appear, and so forth, and also aligning it with things like the full moons and all these kind of things. So I agree with you 100%, my brother, that the woman, she would have been the first to have started the number journey. 100%.
Right. There's a whole heap of things on the what's the name, so I'm gonna. Right, I'm not taking no unknown calls here. So if people's going to give unknown calls, I'm not going to take unknown calls. Let me give out the numbers. Maybe somebody who's listening would want to ask brother a question. Otep caller, what's your name? Where you calling from? Otep caller, what's your name and where you calling from?
Otep?
Yeah, who's that?
Brother Kwaku, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yes, King.
Yeah, go on. You rang in, innit? You have a question for Pi Ratio?
Yes, King. I want to say big up to, yeah, you know what I mean? That is one of the most beautiful things I've ever heard, you know what I mean? Because I listen to his things and his time, it's like they want to dump you down in terms of your genius. You see where I'm coming from, King?
Yep.
But what I wanted to ask him, yeah? I'm going to give you a mathematical things now. Is that okay?
Yeah. Nia, are you go on say as a king? Am I hear you?
Right. In terms of simultaneous equations, yeah? Right. I had to learn that for engineering things, yeah? But if the thing is, right, if you miss out one digit, yeah, you're finished. Right? So I just want to ask you, right, how did he learn to in terms of the exams to his things? Did he need to take exams for his things?
Good evening, my brother. How you doing, family? You good?
I'll take my king. Glad to, my brother. I'll take, man. Love is all I bring, man.
Thank you very much. Simultaneous equations, the big S. Now, for those who are not sure, simultaneous equations deals with you have to find there are two unknowns that you have to find, and you have two equations that you have to work out simultaneously. Once you find out what these are, you then have to plot them on a graph. Is that right, my brother?
Yes, but I'm talking about the form, like...
No, I'm coming to that. I'm just trying to give the listeners an understanding in case they're not aware of what simultaneous equations are. Right. Now, there's always more than one way to resolve a simultaneous equation. You can subtract one from the other, which removes one of the unknown variables, because you usually have an x and a y. And the aim is to get rid of one. Is that right?
That's right. Go ahead, brother.
You have to get rid of one.
Like that, brother.
Yeah, continue.
All right. Yeah, you have to get rid of one, and then to find out what the other is, and then you transfer that into the other equation to find out what the other component is. Now, the key is, you asked me, how do you remember? The key is this. Whenever you're doing simultaneous equations, you have 2 or 3 options. I think there's 3 options that you can use to solve it. You can either subtract, you can either add, or you can multiply. Whichever one is going to get rid of one of the components, that's what you have to do. And if you're unable to do using that, then you have to create a formula from one of the components. Like, for example, if you have a simultaneous equation that says 5y is equal to, I don't know, 2x, 3x minus whatever, then you have to find a value for x. And if you can't find a specific value, then you create a formula out of the numbers around it, and then put that into the next formula. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect. But you know what, brother? I never had enough time to do that in the exact. I never. But you know what, right? You know what it is? It's like the way, it's like another language. You know, it's like the way they drop it. Like, if you drop up on one thing, it's like okay, if you're building a dam, and you have to put this brick in the dam, and this brick is slightly different. It's not made the same way as the other brick. The whole thing crumbles, brother.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what they're dealing with it.
What you need to do, all I can tell you is this. As part of the teachings what I teach students, I also teach them about memory recollection, recalling. Because I don't believe that when you're doing maths you're supposed to think. it might sound strange, but you're not supposed to think when you do maths.
What are you supposed to do then?
You are supposed to.
Sorry to cut you, my brother. Thank you so much, my brother. Before I land now, right? I just want to ask Prophet Kwaku. Can we use the same equations in terms of our humanity, in terms of
our seeking reparations and the struggle in the movement? Is that what you're saying?
This is what I'm trying to say, my brother.
Well, give thanks for that question, and the brother can answer that.
Okay, my king.
Finish what you were saying before, though.
All right.
No, I was just going to say about in terms of like if you calculate the
but brother Naya,
you asked about movement.
brother Naya, you asked the brother was asking a question. You cut in, and then you ask another question, and the brother's about to answer, and then you're cutting again to ask another question. You have to wait, King.
Go ahead. Sorry, I didn't hear properly.
That's all right, my brother. What I was saying was, when you're doing maths, you're not supposed to think. You're supposed to retain, recall, remember. What do I mean by that? Well, simultaneous equations. When you learn how to do it, when you get a problem, all you're doing is remembering. You are not thinking. Because if you're thinking, that means you don't know the answer. When you recall, means you're recalling the process, how it is done, and following the process. That's why when a teacher teaches you, you retain something and it sits in your long-term memory. But if you don't visit it often enough, you forget how to do it. But when somebody says to you, what is 7 times 5? You don't think that it's 35. You go to the part of the memory that knows where the answer is, and then you bring it back out and you say, yeah, it's 35.
Mm-hmm.
Brother.
Yes, sir.
Before I go, sorry to interrupt you. When the people talk about 5G, right, I'm talking about what is the frequency, what does 1 over T mean? What is lambda? What is a wavelength? I'm trying to think in different things.
Well, all of those things, whoever's put those out, because you have to understand, when somebody creates a formula or a logarithm or things like that, they have put their terms behind it. So unless you're privy to that, you're not going to know what it means unless you're dealing with them directly. Because when you go to a company and you're working with a company and they use certain terminologies, that may not be the same terminology used outside of there. Because what they're doing, they're keeping it under wraps. And those who work there will understand. But you understand the algebraic theory. So you know what they're doing, but you don't necessarily know all the little terminologies. You learn that on the job or wherever you are and so forth and what have you. You say 1 over T. 1 over T in maths is time.
One more thing before I leave you.
Sure.
If frequency equals 1 over T,
yes,
does that mean it equals the same in Africa?
Yeah, 1 over time. Yeah, because time here and time is time, you know. Time is time.
Yeah,
doesn't matter where you go.
But my king.
Go ahead.
What I'm trying to say is that they're talking the time on a different frequency. So I can't. That formula doesn't compute to me.
You'd have to give me some specifics, because you've just thrown out and said, well, what is the time difference? What are you working with then? Where's the issue?
What I'm trying to say, my brother, Prophet Kwaku said, always check by ratio, and the numbers doesn't add up.
Yes.
So all I'm saying is, brother, I rise you up on the greatest highest high, and I thank you for taking my call, my Prophet.
Sure, of course.
And give thanks.
Okay.
All right, give thanks.
Okay.
Give thanks, brother Naya. I never knew you was a mathematician, my brethren.
I'm not a mathematician, you know.
No, brother Naya, you boss something because you and pi ratio attack and I get lost. 1 over T and all them something there. Me decide I'm going to make up something say, what's 2 over Z?
No, King.
No. I was quite impressed, brother Naya. I must admit, I was very impressed with you there.
My King, you've always said that we got, Marcus Garvey said, the sciences and the great of...
You train your children in the higher sciences, yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, I've spent many years, right, trying to learn. As Brother Rachel said, yeah, I done silly things in my early years, so I had to study in my older years. I spent, you know what I mean? I'm an old man now.
You don't sound it though, brother. Now you sound like he's a 20-year-old.
Well, hey, Bridget. Anyway, but what I'm trying to say, the formula can you? What I'm trying to say, I think you can calculate our system of depression, because like it's like the people in Sudan, right, are still going through the same thing.
Yeah, all right, but that's another subject, brother Naya. Yeah, because let's keep it on the mathematics for now. Yeah.
Yeah, but my brethren, right? I'd like to be able to link up my brother to learn more, because he's put it in a practical way.
Well, he does online tuition, you know, and he's got 4 free classes at the moment online, haven't you?
Yeah.
Would you put details online?
You want to tell him a bit about that?
Yeah, I do online tuition. We up to recently we did online in Botswana, in Africa. So you know we go far and wide. You know, if you want more information, all you got to do is email me. If you email me, I'm more than happy to send you whatever information you need. The email address is maths.surgery@yahoo.com. I'll say that again. That's maths.surgery@yahoo.com. See, the thing is, you know, my brother, maths, as you say, is very, very important. And you've even aligned it to many of the struggles that we as a people are facing around the world. And if we were able to harness numbers, I'm telling you, the system would have to, when dealing with us, deal with us with trepidation. Because since I've had the understanding of numbers that I have, I feel no way to challenge authority. And I feel qualified to challenge them because I know the numbers. So when they come with something, you know, I mean, they came out with some statistic recently for COVID, and it just didn't make sense. It just never made sense. But people are not going to question it because it's right, big COVID, it's got big NHS there, and it equals death and all that, and nobody's questioning it, you know. So it's things like that, my brother. But I thought you're on the right track, but, you know, we need to follow it through. We need to follow it through, and once you have the understanding of numbers, simultaneous equation will no longer be a problem. You'll just know that there's 3 formulas that you need to understand, and those 3 formulas, if one doesn't work, the other 2 will. Because the name of the game of simultaneous equation is to get rid of one unknown to work out the other one.
But a ratio, right? I so think you're actually more. You see, like, I put you in the same thing as brother Kwaku and other peoples who are they're pioneers. But what I'm trying to say is, like, if you just slip one of those things, like in a formula of the simultaneous equations, yeah, you could go down a different tangent.
No, you're right. No. You're absolutely right. If you slip, you slide. There's no doubt about that. But what I'm saying, simultaneous equation, the key for it, when I'm doing maths, the key is you must follow the process.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And I understand that. So when you get the question, you see the question on a paper, what's the first thing you do?
What's the first thing I do?
Yeah.
I actually just, I clock that, I look at it and take it down, everything.
Right. The first thing you're supposed to do is write it out. Write it out. Don't care who's giving it to you, write it out. The second thing you do, you label them. 1 and 2. because you're going to start to change them. You're now going to start timesing them or subtracting them, and even though they're the same equation, they're not going to look the same. So you have to label them 1 and 2, because now 1 is going to become 3 and 2 is going to become 4. And as you're moving down, you can get lost, like you say. You can lose your way and you slip and then you slide. But if you're labeling it and you're following the process, you'll follow it to the end. You'll be fine. It's just practice.
Oh, my brother.
Yes, sir.
I wish I didn't know you when I was doing my degree, engineering degree, my brother.
Yeah.
Well, you sound like you did well, though, brother Naya, man. You know your thing, brethren.
He does.
Don't underplay yourself, King.
Yeah, you know. And remember, the best degree you can have is degree of self, knowledge of self. That is the number one degree, because with all the degrees that are flying around at the moment, many of them are useless. Look how many people have degrees and they don't even have a job. They're useless.
Sure. What I ended up doing is starting sound system and like PA for people.
There you go.
You understand? But I know how to mix.
There you go. You know, but don't underestimate yourself, because you know the mathematician in you exposed some of it today on Brother Kwaku's show. So don't underestimate yourself.
I want to thank Brother Kwaku and all his guests, the beautiful guests, and I want to say the mathematics. If you could link me up with some of the guests on the show, then
no. All you have to do, go to maths.surgery@yahoo.com and you can contact him.
Okay, my king.
Yeah, I'll read it out again. Yeah.
Yeah, maths.surgery
@yahoo.com.
As in the doctor.
@yahoo.com. It's a website, isn't it? Website.
Okay.
It's an email address.
Me have it.
Give thanks. Yeah, Tracy Benjamin says, good evening, Kwaku and guests. Kwaku Bonso and guests. Nemamare say, yes, it is simultation equation. Yeah, Kieran asks, Altec pi ratio. I loves maths but struggle to grasp the formula of any kind. I love trigonometry. Yeah. Ask me anything about it now. It's like I'm trying to work out how the pyramids were built. Don't have a clue. Oh, what did I do? No. Resume. Yeah. Sorry, people. I hit something by accident. Yes, Carla. William.
Kwaku, Kwabna again, yeah. One important question, yeah. Your guest in the studio, right? Why is it, well, in my travels, right, so far in my life, out of all the West Indian islands, the Bajans, all of them seem to be very good at maths. Yeah, in your experience, in your teaching experience, would you adhere to that? Yeah, would you say that? Do you find that which country in the Caribbean and in Africa, yeah, is the pupils, they are more susceptible to maths, yeah. Obviously, some gets it easier than some, and others don't get it. But I found that all Bajans are very good at maths. Big up all the Bajans in the house.
That's right, guys. We were taught, man. Great at maths, boy.
Well, my brother, family, thank you for that question. In my experience, every black child around the world is a young mathematician. I couldn't qualify that question you've asked, because the only way you could really qualify that if all the black children had the same teachers, and they don't. So what I would say to that is very simple. Every black child that I have come across, whether it is here, in England, in Africa, in the Caribbean, and over Europe, and in America, they all have the potential to be young mathematicians. And it's who's tutoring them is the main ingredients. That is the main component. If you have the right tutor, the right lecturer, anything is possible. So, you know, I can't sit here and say, yeah, Bayesians or Jamaicans or this. No. All black children. All black children have
Bayesian is the best, man. Bayesian is best at your thing, man.
To that, I think you're being quite diplomatic, because when it comes on to sprinting, all right, yeah, Jamaica have always been at the forefront of sprinting from since I was a child up until now. So, yeah, if that applies in that, right, it must apply.
Okay, my brother. Okay, okay, my brother. You made a point, but here's what I would say then. Here's what I would say. You give me 5 black students.
From anywhere.
From anywhere. You give me 5 black students, then. And then the next 5 can get taught in Barbados or wherever. Mm-hmm. Yeah? And then after a year or 2, let's bring them together and put them in a test and see who flies out. That's I could put that on the table.
Okay. All right, but I'm not in the position to set that up. But like I said, yeah.
So you come up and you call the radio station, man. You talk about your patients and you do all that. Come on, man. You come big up Belgian people and now you're running out. Go find it, man. Well. I don't want to hear you stuttering and everything there, man. You call at the station, you tell the man, say, Belgians are the best at mathematics. And I totally agree with you. Give thanks, my brother.
Nice.
Man, Belgium, man, we great at mathematics.
Look more.
Yeah, look more.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah. I am honored to know my great king mathematician of long time. Paul Magical watch. Wicked people. Richard Panchus watch Diane Rose and Beverly and even in Pi Ratio. That is so true what you just said. I hated maths at school. Greeting, rise up yourself. Pi Ratio, you are 100 to teach the child is to have love and compassion with an overstanding of a holistically approach for that child's well-being. That's from the missus.
Wow.
My missus.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is very true. The schools don't understand our children's culture, nothing. It's totally they don't even acknowledge it.
So you know, I'm gonna come and ask you that. But somebody just asked a question. What is algebra?
What is algebra?
Yeah.
Algebra is a combination of numbers and letters, and it's used to work out problems. That's what it is. And it came about because instead of writing out big numbers, they use letters to represent the numbers. Made it a lot easier to work out. So algebra is about, and algebra's tentacles sit in a number of different disciplines, whether you're dealing with graphs, quadratic equations, simultaneous equations. Algebra is involved because you've got numbers and letters. So that's what algebra is. Algebra deals with, it helps you work out the unknown. You can apply it to life. It's all about the unknown. You know, I've been working on some projects. The maths behind parenting, that's something that's we want to bring out. The maths behind relationships. because there's so many different uncertainties involved, and that's where algebra comes in. Because it's not a number, you apply a letter to it, and then you use the numbers around it to give it a value. To give it a value
of the letter. So when you said that they don't know our culture and things like that, is it important for a teacher? So when a teacher is because your form of teaching is quite revolutionary, to be quite honest, from what I've seen and things like that. So when you get a student, the first thing you do, you try to find out about them.
Yeah, I want to find out about them. They say they hate maths. I say, you don't hate maths. They say, I do. I said, all right, what has maths ever done to you? You can't answer. They hate the way it's being taught to them. That's what they hate with maths. Because we have to understand, maths is a language. So, and when you start off maths, you have to start off simple. It's like a language. So you have to understand the terminology. Because sometimes you get thrown by the terminology. What is the product of something? The sum of something. Algebra, they for example, they word things differently. So in the terminology, you need to understand it. Who takes the time out to teach a child that? Who does that? At school they don't.
One of the things that it's always not puzzled me in math, but it's intrigued me that they're formulas. And I remember me and you was having this conversation, I think it was last year sometime, and you were saying that's just the way it is. And I kept saying to you, yeah, but why is it just the way it is? He goes, just it. Yeah. You just do it like that, and that's it. Yeah. Could you explain that to me?
Well, for example, I used to I couldn't understand, for example, let's look at let's take a fraction. 1/2. 1/2 is the same as 1 divided by 2. Right? And they would tell you, right, it's equal to 0.5. So, well, how is it equal to 0.5? Well, if you divide this by this, it'll go 0. That's how you get 1/2. Now, they have a thing called BODMAS. BODMAS simply means that if you have a sum that has a combination of a different signs, like you have adding in it, you have multiplication in it, you have a bracket in it, and you have division in it. BODMAS tells you must deal with the bracket first. You say, well, why? Well, if you don't deal with the bracket first and you just deal with it linearly, you're going to get a different answer, and it's going to be wrong. But wrong to who? Wrong to the system that you're working in. So there's laws. When you deal with BODMAS, you have to deal with the brackets first. Then you deal with the operations. The operation stands for the indices. Indices simply means if you have 2 raised to the power of 2 in the sum, or a number raised to the power of, the indices, you have to deal with that second. Then you have to deal with division. Then you have to deal with multiplication, then adding, then subtraction. Why do you have to deal with it like that? Because I come and see it like that. It's the law. It's the law. For example, it's a language has a laws in it. You say words a certain way, like if you're learning Spanish or French. Well, in mathematics, that is one of the laws. And there are a number of laws. So it's really important that you understand what the laws are. A bit like when you're in life. You cross when the light is red and when the green man is there. You don't cross when the light is green. It's a law. It's a system. And that's what maths is. Full of systems.
Got a question here. Yes. Pi ratio. Yes. Have you thought about writing a maths book?
I'm in the process of putting together a book. Yes, to answer your question simply, yes, I have. I've also working on a few videos, because I understand that as a people we like to see things. Sometimes, when you're dealing with maths, it's not tangible. You can't hold on to it. You can't see it. But if you can see how it go, then you say, oh.
And how it works in relation to certain things.
Something else. You can say, I saw it go. Well, that's where I come. I come to unravel the matrix. I'm acting in a moment. I'm in the middle of a book, and it's called the truth behind the I. The truth behind the I. And what it's a kind of a fictional stroke reality book, really. But what it looks at, you know and I know, students, you go to school, you see a sum, and you answer it. But are you really answering the question that they've given you? What you see sometimes is not really what they're asking you. So it's the truth behind that. So this book looks at going where the youth goes back. He goes to
that should be called trigonometry then, isn't
yeah,
it?
trigonometry. That's what I'm saying. It's about understanding the terminologies. So yeah, I am working on a book, and I will keep you posted.
Well, you're in tune to Newborough Informed People's Talkshow, live here on GalaxyAfiwe.com inside with my brother Pi Ratio. We're talking about maths and the love of maths. Maths is in everything.
It is.
Is in everything we do. Is it? Tell us the maths of this supposed COVID-19. How have you deduced it mathematically?
Well, they have number one, what they've done, because you know about statistics is where they take data and they create all these fancy pie charts and what have you. They are using probability. Probability simply means that basically if we dash this over there, so there's a probability that it's going to catch this amount of people. They're also using ratios because they believe, well, if they've dashed that over there, and so for every dash they have they catch 100 people, well, that means if they do 6 dashes, that's 600 people. 600 people compared to the amount of people that they could have caught, that's ratios, right? So there are a number of things that they are using, but they are basically scaremongering, is what they're doing. And with maths, when you don't know something, you're a bit apprehensive about it. You're a bit scared about it. Because, you know, they may say that black people are... how much percent more likely to die from it. Yeah. But what they don't tell you is how difficult it is for black people to catch it. Because if you had that as part of the equation wouldn't seem so bad. And people wouldn't be just walking around with a mask and whatever else over their heads and whatever else. Because they're only giving you have to understand, maths, right, can benefit whoever is putting it out there. So I'm sure you've heard of averages, what the average is. But in maths, there are about 3 or 4 different averages. Mean, medium, mode. They're all averages.
I remember that.
They're all averages.
Medium, and mode.
And so whichever average makes your statistics look best for you, that is what they use. So in marketing, they use all 3, but whichever one gives them the best value, that's what they use. And they tell you, say it's an average. And it is an average, but they're using a formula that works for them. So in the COVID thing, they're just using formulas for scaremongering. So that you go and get tested, so you go and get the injection, so you go and get this. But it's all tomfoolery. Because they're just weapons of mass destruction. It's just another logarithm that they have put that you don't know what is behind in that formula. So that's what the COVID is. It's just scaremongering. Because I don't believe a word they're saying. And the numbers don't add up.
The numbers
it doesn't add up. It can't add up. It cannot. Because to the amount of people that are supposed to be dying from this COVID thing, right? And then when you look at the stats, well, more people are dying from the cold. More people are dying from different things. Why are they not? Why isn't that in the forefront of the media?
Yeah, because that's come to liquid all the other debts. There's nobody now dead and nothing else again.
Yeah. There's an agenda, you see, because if you feel that it's true, then you're going to be on their side when they start licking down people's yard and forcing you to have it. You know what I'm saying? Because you're going to be the one who's a criminal, who's not doing it, and people, because they need to have the public on their side for this to work. You understand?
+44 if you're abroad, 02. Oh, you drop your pen, alright. +44 if you're abroad, 0207 193 0174. You have an opportunity to ask pi ratio. Excuse me, tired people. I'm tired today. You have an opportunity to call in and ask pi ratio. And if any mathematical question that you want to ask him, or you could ask him to explain something that you're going through in a mathematical term. You understand what I'm saying to you? So 0207 193 0174. All right, I've got big long text here. Yeah. Old Tech Prophet, beautiful discussion. One of the gems exploded was the acknowledgement that learning should be holistic. Maths is not separate from science. Science is not separate from maths. The arts, not separate from maths. The arts and where is it? Where's it? Oh, got it. Yeah, the arts, etc. My understanding of our great learning system was that they were not divided into categories. Therefore, everything is everything, and you can't divorce yourself from reality. And time, space ends. Our brother Pyratio, understanding the importance of starting where the young person is at to get a productive result. All hail to the Master Siba.
I have a question.
Big up yourself. Yeah.
Family, I have a question. Firstly, all of these sentiments are coming in.
Amen Noah. That was who answered that question.
Beautiful. I have a question. Mm-hmm. And this is the question to the family. And this is what I want to know. Why is it, as a people...
I'm not taking unknown calls. Yeah,
why is it, as a people, we are very distrusting of our own, especially when we are doing things for our people? What do I mean by that? I find that many of our brothers and sisters, they may be looking to do maths with a brother like myself or another brother or another sister, and they will want to ask 151 questions. I don't have a problem with that. Here where I have the problem. Now, your child is in a certain condition. They may not be at the level of maths that they should be. And they have been going to school. And none of these parents seem to ask these teachers who have been teaching their child 151 questions. But as soon as the teacher or the tutor is black, it's as if that individual has to prove themselves 950 more times than the teacher at school who hasn't done anything for your child over many, many years. Why is that? If somebody could phone in and share that with me, I'd really appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. You got a question here. It says, I still suffer with mental arithmetic. Is there any way to work around this? Well, that's the maths, to work around it.
To work around it. Mental arithmetic. So it all depends what you're doing. As I said, the basics is adding, subtraction, multiplication and division. So the first thing you want to be doing is your times tables. You see, like when you go to bed, like you're counting sheep or whatever it is you count, do your times tables. Or another thing is, put it on a dictaphone and just play it in your ears at night. You know, like when you wake up, humming a tune or what have you, in your subconsciousness, if you hear your voice saying your times tables, trust me, all of a sudden you start thinking that you are a genius because you're hearing yourself doing maths. That is the first step. Try it, it works. It worked for me. Right? And once you get that under your belt, you'll be because maths is just about manipulating numbers. Once the brain is able to take on board times tables and you're able to do your times tables like that, you will find the brain gravitates to more trickier stuff, more moving numbers around. So that's what you need to do, because maths is about learning a subject, is about holding one discipline's hand and then learning another one. Not just jumping from A to Z B to X. No.
Otep. Oh, brother Naya.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I just wanted just a simple question. Yeah. I'm fine. Is giga? Could you ask Prophet
Pi ratio.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You see, are these 10? Is giga 10 to the 12, or is it 10 to the? Because I'm finding it because I know about the micros stuff. It's like micro 6 and but when you go to the giga now,
you're going up 10 to the 12, 10 to the 15. You're going upwards. Micro, you're going the other way.
No, but what I'm asking you is giga. What is giga?
10 to the 12.
5 giga is 10 to the 12.
No, you said 5 giga. I thought you said a giga.
No, because I'm looking at 5G, brother.
You're looking at 5G, yeah?
I'm looking to calculate. I'm looking to calculate the frequency, yeah.
Right.
Because so when you talk about 4G and 5G, they're talking about Are they talking about gigahertz?
Gigahertz.
Talking about gigahertz.
Gigahertz is what they're talking about.
Yeah. So the gigahertz, right? Are they when you talk about 5G, they're talking about giga.
Yeah, but whether it's 5G, 6G, the G stands for gigahertz, right?
I don't know.
Yes.
I don't know.
Gigahertz. It doesn't matter whether it's 4G or 5G. The G, it's algebra. The G stands for gigahertz. And that's, you're dealing with frequency.
So how many, so hold on a second. So 5G, how many 1G how many gigahertz anyway, how many hertz is in 5G?
How many hertz in 5G? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I'd have to work it out. Don't know.
But is 1G is a gigahertz, right?
Yeah, 1G is 1 gigahertz. But 1 hertz is minuscule to 1 gigahertz.
Mm-hmm. But a gigahertz, okay, I can get it now. I got it.
Give thanks, Naya.
Give thanks. I'll take my friend.
I'll take my brother. 0207-193-0174. If you want to send a text or WhatsApp with a question for pi ratio, we're wrapping up dead on 12. I'm not going past 12. Is 073 779 2070. Repeat, 0703 77 920703. You can call in and ask pi ratio a question, or you can WhatsApp a question into the studio. So pi ratio, we're coming down to the end. I'm not taking any unknown callers. If you want to call in a number that we can actually catch you. See, I'm not taking any unknown callers. Sorry, apologies for that. Yeah. There was someone said they hated maths at school. How can people get over that fear of maths? Because I think it's a fear of maths, isn't it?
I've got two girls who I teach, and their mum, and I know she won't mind me mentioning, Sister D. She hated maths, hated it like a dose of poison. Mm-hmm. But when I broke down, I think it was long division, when I broke it down to her, she said, "Is that it?" She said, "I've had trauma over long division for the whole of my life. Literal trauma. Run away from it. And the only way to get over it is to face it. But you have to face it with somebody who knows what they're talking about and can break it down to you step by step by step, because it's all about process. And if you're taught the process, I said earlier in the show, when they teach us maths, they conveniently leave out the bit in the middle, the bit that is going to help us, the bit that's going to empower us. If we as a people know that middle bit, many of these teachers have to deal with, when dealing with us, have to deal with trepidation, because they know that they're giving us what rightly belongs to us, and they don't want to do that.
So, pi ratio, what is the middle bit?
The middle bit is the process.
Okay.
That is the process. That is the middle bit. The middle bit is the actual process, because once you understand the process, you're able to work out the problem. And the process is different for different problems.
Prophet Classroom, bless you always. Say the maths, not other. Rise up. They want to say the maths doesn't other. The man, because I keep quoting that, every week, with every show I say, like my brethren pi ratio said, the maths don't add up.
Well, it's a bit like, for example, you have man and woman, and he might go out, and he comes in, and she says, "Where have you been?" And he says whatever he says, and it just don't add up. And she knows. It don't add up. Well, it's like the maths, it's exactly the same. The numbers don't add up. And when in life, anything you're doing, if the numbers do not add up, be very wary. Be very wary, because the numbers don't lie. Unless you're in marketing.
I got a text here. It says, me forget my glasses. You want to read it?
Let's have a look.
Yeah,
I'll do my best. Loving the Bayesian, Prophet King. Hilarious. I'm a maths nut and my 5-year-old is coming along swimmingly. I'm loving pious theories. Peace. Ziba.
073 779207003. If you want to text in a question or text in on WhatsApp, 073 77920703. That's the text and WhatsApp number. And the live link number, if you want to ask pi ratio a question, 0207 193 0174. 0207 they sent me what's it name, but 07. What I want is so how would you apply maths, Patrick, or pi ratio I should say? How would you apply maths in terms of healing? What are the healing properties of maths?
It's a great question. Well, the healing properties of maths would be obviously time. Time would be one that you would apply. You're going to, again, it's ratios again, because whatever you are taking or you've been given has to have a balance. And that is ratios. It has to have a certain amount of this, a certain amount of that. I'm not a herbalist or what have you, but whoever is subscribing you these things, they have looked at you holistically to see where the imbalance is. So you need to know, for example, if whatever they give you, it's going to have X amount of this in it, Y amount of that in it. You need to understand the amounts. Is it because in your body, what you lack, that amount will make one complete? Because with ratios, there has to be a balance. Everything has to add up to a specific unit. The person who's prescribing needs to know what you're lacking and how much of it you are lacking. So ratios is one, as I said. Time is another. And also maybe a bit of probabilities.
And that's how you break it down.
That's how I'm going to break it down, because any medicine that you take, you know, usually when they give you something, if they don't know, they're trying it out, which means probabilities is involved.
So, all right, you know, you do the tuition now. So
Yes.
you do the private tuition now.
Yes.
And you got children come to you. You've even got people from up north coming down here.
Yeah. I've got people online now who all over the place, all over.
So you're quite busy now. I'm teaching maths.
Very busy, because what I'm doing now is, even though I teach maths, there's a demand for explaining maths. So I'm not really like working out numbers all day long. I do that in classes, but how it affects us in life. I'm working on a project with a brother, and they're looking at the Ice Age, the time differences, and we want to see, well, you know what I mean, does the numbers add up with regards to when we as a people were here, how long the Ice Age was, what does that really mean, that kind of thing.
I think the last glacier, I think they said lasted about 40,000 years.
Yeah. You know, so it's a case of tearing up those numbers and looking at to see what do those numbers really mean, and comparing it with when humans, what was going on, you know, all that kind of stuff. So it's an interesting little project that I'm about to work on, which is good.
Well, I'm gonna look at another tune.
Okay.
Yeah. This is from somebody I went to Sunday school with.
Oh wow.
Yeah, one of my Sunday school brethren them. Yeah, and I think this tune here is appropriate for what we was talking about earlier, because you were saying that maths should be easy to teach, and the way that they were teaching maths at school, it's like a foreign language, and you couldn't grasp it. So you really had to go to the front of the seat, sit down, and really take in what this man has said.
Before you play, do you know that it's deliberate the way they do this? It's deliberate.
I'm talking to Mike.
Sorry, it's deliberate. I was looking at some stats recently. For the past 50 years, black children's exam results, on average, have been the lowest for the past 50 years. Now, there may be 1 and 2 of you who say, well, nah, that can't be true. My child's all right, but that's your child. I'm talking about on maths, generally, on average. Black children here in the UK, our exam results, not only math, but the sciences, have been the lowest for the last 50 years. And that is amongst all of the cultures. So whether you're Bayesian or Jamaican, you're in the same group. Right? And you have a number of us who think, well, you know, oh no, my child's all right. The privileged 1 or 2. I'm not dealing with you, because you'll meet it at some point up the chain. You will meet it. Right? I'm talking about the mass, the majority of us, our children, are not getting a fair crack of the whip. Right? Because with them stats, that's like betting on a 3-legged horse. Who's going to do that? Anyway, I had to get that off my chest.
Reads, Voodoo Prophet Kwaku and guest, the only time quick maths has been useful is when going to the Indian man's corner shop. Indians think black people are so dumb that we can't add up and take away on the spot. So they always try to scam us. If you don't challenge them straight away, I've caught them Indians so many times trying to shortchange me, and I always immediately embarrass them.
Good for you, my brother.
Big up for that 241.
Yes.
We give thanks for that, yeah. And I'm going to run this tune here because I want my church brethren them. We used to go Sunday school.
All right.
Yeah, I'm singing this tune here. So more of the people that hear it.
I see if you are human. I see you.
We have the Great Pirate Show in the house. Send your questions 073-7792-0703. So Pirate Show, what is your vision for mathematics with African children?
My vision is very clear. I can see it in front of me. I would like all of our children to have access to quality mathematical teachings. They have access to it. They can touch it. And it's up to them whether they want to take it on board or not. But they should have access to it, not the crumbs that they're getting at the moment that's confusing them and all this kind of thing. They have many of the parents of the students. Again, they have a lot to answer to as well. You know, let's not beat around the bush here. You know, there's recent stats that show you 17 million working class people in the working class. 17 million have the maths level of a primary school student.
17 million.
17 million. That's half the workforce of Britain. So imagine how many black people are wrapped up in that, right? And listen, there's nothing wrong if you don't understand maths. There's nothing wrong with that, because you have to blame your teachers, right? But don't pass that mentality onto your children. Many of the fathers, they are not involved in their child's education, especially maths, because they are not good at maths. And so there's an ego thing going on. Many of the students I teach, I deal with the mother. Dad don't usually want to know about it, or he's there, but he's not there. Because maybe if you talk to him long enough, you'll find that maybe he's not so good at math. But it's no big deal. It's not a problem. Because only when you open up a wound, that's when it's going to heal. But you're walking around with this fear of maths, and you don't realise subconsciously you're passing it on to your children. And many of the dads that I have come across, they want to have nothing to do with it. It's always the mother. It's always the mothers. You know? And many of the mothers, their maths is not that great, but they admit it, and by admitting it, they're learning with their children. There's so many mothers that say, well, you know what? Since I've been teaching my child, I've learned how to do this and that and what have you. But I don't know what it is with the dads. I don't know if it's their ego. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm not here to be judge or jury. But as dads, come on, man. We really need to get more involved, man. The mother cannot do everything. We as dads have to take the initiative, right? Because it's your child as well. And trust me, without your support, right, it's a hard struggle out there. Believe me when I tell you. Some of the maths that the children bring home, it's not that it's difficult to do, but it's the way that it's worded, the way it's presented.
Okay.
Right? You don't understand it. So you don't even want to see their homework. And the child picks up on that. Because many of the students, I've spoken to them, and they say, oh, no, there's no point in me showing my dad. He's going to say, go and show it to your mum, or something like that. So, you know, come on, dads. Come on. I'm trying to wake up the mathematician in you, because I know it's there.
Greetings, one and all. This is the voice of Michael Gordon, and right now you're tuned into the Prophet Kwaku on GalaxyAfriWe.com. So stay locked on for your continued enlightenment. Zane, Michael Gordon say that. Word.
Yes. So, how can people get in contact with you to book a session, or book a session on the? Because you do over was it
a couple of platforms? Zoom is one of them that I do. But
tell the people how they can get in contact with you.
Right. I'll be honest with you. I used to spend a lot of time on the phone, but what I find out is that maths is not a hustle for me. It's not a side thing for me. It's a passion. It's my life. It's what I do. And it's what I earn my living from. It's what I support my family with. It's not a side hustle here. So I no longer really take calls because you spend a long time on the phone talking to somebody who's not really, they just, I don't know why they've rung up to ask you 900 questions. So my email in the first instance is how you get in contact with me. You only really speak to me once you're going down that road of wanting to do classes, because the email and the back and forth, that will determine whether you're interested and you're serious. Because once you email me with your inquiry, I will email you back with what I offer, when I offer it, what it costs, when it costs, what it costs, what you're going to get for whatever. You get all that details in email. And it's only once you decide, well, this is the package that you want to determine that you want to do, and then once your fees are paid, hey, how you doing? That is when you get access to me, not before, because I've got too many students now who seriously want to do maths, and the problem is not necessarily the students, it's some of the parents. You know, you get people phoning you up and say, so how long you been doing maths then? You tell them, oh, can you explain trigonometry to me? You explain it. They don't even know what they're talking about. So you know you're explaining something to them that they don't even really comprehend. So what's the purpose of that? They're trying to find out what you're really all about. And so you know, when you, like what you do, there should be a buffer to gain access to you. And that's what I've been put in place. And it works, because now I weed out the rubbish. And I'm only dealing with those who are serious. And I give those ones who are serious my time. And those who are serious, they get more than my time. Because once you become part of the math surgery family, trust me, you can gain access to me even when you don't have class. You can email me, you can text me, you can send me over work that you're having a problem with, maybe at school, and I can do a breakdown for you. I'll even jump on one of the platforms and give you 10 minutes outside of your time just to show you how it works. I do that for those who are serious. But those who are just into, I don't know.
Those who are not serious.
They've got a new phone and they want to test it out. Yeah, I'm not interested in those. You know.
Well, you know, Pi Ratio, it's been a beautiful evening, haven't you?
Time has flown.
It's been a beautiful evening. And so tell the people the way they can hear you again.
I'm on the Rock.
Yeah, but you're
every Wednesday.
We'll take you out for the Rock, you know. We'll take you out for the Rock, you know. We'll hijack you.
4 to 6. And my thing is this. Those who are listening. Now, you have many people who say they had a problem with maths, this and that. And I feel your pain, because I was where you was once. But how many of you actually phone up and say something? Because by you phoning up and saying, you're inspiring others.
Ashay, my brother, real talk.
You inspire others. There are many who don't want to phone up because they feel their ego's not allowing them, or they just feel that, you know, I'm going to sound silly. No. When you phone up and you are honest, that is the beginning of the healing process. Because trust me, when you phone up and you talk to me live, I may give you something that you never knew you was going to get. Right? So it's really important that, you know, and all of us who have had these problems, and nobody phones up. Nobody phones up. So, you know, the Rock, 926, every Wednesday between the hours of 4 till 6. And the number to call on that station, can I give out that number?
Yeah, go on.
07948
Too fast.
I'll say it again. 07948 746 758. I'll say it again. That's 07948 746 4 6 7 5 8.
Well, it's 10 minutes to the hour, so we're going to be wrapping up in the next 5 minutes. So don't leave it too long. If you want to ask Pi Ratio a question, 02 07 193 0174. Or you can send a text. Send it in a text, or you can send it in a WhatsApp on 07 3 77
I know
92 sorry 0703. Yeah, go on, Kate.
Sorry to mess with the flow. I was as I'm very family orientated. I believe the family is the key, because if you have your family support, anything is possible. I'm speaking firsthand because I have the support of my wife and my children. They support me in everything that I do when it comes onto the education and everything else, and without them I wouldn't be where I am today. So what I was going to ask Brother Kwaku, there is a tune, I don't know if you take requests, but there's a tune, and it's Bring the Family Back, and I was wondering Billy Paul, I was wondering if you could play that tune, because that is a tune that I hold dear to my heart, and it sums up really what what my message is really all about.
Bring the family back, yeah? Billy Paul.
Yes. Family.
This is for you. Hold on. Got somebody calling in. Yes, Carla.
Rise up, rise up.
Oh, Sister Shanice.
Families.
Oh, Tim.
Shanice here. How you doing?
I'm not too bad, sis. Just tired.
Yeah. I'm sure. And I want to rise up Pi Ratio in the house as well.
Thank you, my sister. Good to hear from you.
Likewise. Good to hear you on the show. And just think it's so important that you know, in terms of us sharing our skills and our talent with our family back home on the continent, to be, you know, thinking about as well offering classes, workshops to young people on the continent. What are your thoughts around that? And maybe just to ask you to share any experiences that you've had.
That's a great question, my sister. And I think it's paramount to what we all are doing. I, up to recently, before the pandemic struck, was doing classes twice a week with a Sister
Sister Sesame.
Yes,
yeah, Sister Sesame.
Yes, we were working together.
Botswana.
Yes, in Botswana, and that class started with, I think, 3 or 4 students, and by the time the lockdown came, there was over 17. And the only reason why it stopped was because the children could no longer travel from where they were to where they had to be to do the classes because of the lockdown. But we're hoping that we can resume that once a level of some form
stability,
of normality, or whatever it is.
I don't think things is going to be normal, but
not normal,
a level of stability.
Yes. Once that comes about.
I wonder if you could share with us, my brother, what that experience was like, you know, because there are so many of us here, I feel, that have got skills that we could be sharing in a similar sort of structured way with, you know, groups on the continent. So I wonder if you could just share with us, you know, sort of maybe technically what it entailed and what the communication was like between you and them there. Okay. You know, if there were any barriers or if it was a nice, easy flow. Okay. Just hopefully removing some of the barriers that might be in a way for some people to want to think about, who might be thinking about sharing their skills, or may not have been, but once you finish, might think about sharing their skills with family on the continent?
Again, a very, very good question. Me personally, the experience was absolutely beautiful. Everybody spoke a certain level of English, and those who didn't quite understand, the sister was there to translate. But once you're dealing with numbers and you put the numbers up on the board, because I was able to share screen, they understood the numbers, so they was able to work quite fluidly with that. What they really appreciated was the fact that because Britain is supposed to be the hub of where this type of knowledge resides, supposed to be, I say, they gravitate to it. They want it. They want it more than the children here. They were, some of those children were travelling 2-3 hours.
Wow.
Just to get to this location where there was Wi-Fi, so that they could join in on the class.
Wow.
The classes that I was running for 90 minutes, and because I knew they were travelling from so far, sometimes it overran by an hour.
Wow.
Because I just wanted to give. Because they really appreciated it. And I'm talking about students from the ages of, between the ages of 10 to the age of 22. They all wanted the knowledge, because what they had at the moment seemed to have quite a lot of gaps. And so, you know, every time we did a class, you know, I was able to learn their names. I had their names written down, so I was able to call them by name. They really appreciated that, because I knew their names.
They really appreciate of that.
Yes, sorry. They appreciate love.
We're not even on hating ya.
Forgive me, I do apologise. Yeah, appreciate love that.
Yes,
and
but the maths don't add up.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
We felt the love was on both sides. You know, they appreciated my time.
They what?
They loved my time, and I loved their
energy.
Their energy. You know, making the effort to get there, and you know, and hanging on to everything that I said. They didn't have a problem asking questions, because they wanted to know. You know, the homework that I gave them, you know, they came back with all the homework done, even though it wasn't all right. And they sent it in before, because it was emailed to me. So I was able to mark their work so we could talk about it during class. It was just beautiful.
All right, well, it's coming up to the hour now, and
oh, sorry.
Me tired. I want to go to my yard, yes, sir. Yeah, because it was a long day for me today, long day. Yeah, long day, and I'm going to go and get some rest. So, Sister Shanice.
Rise up.
My sister.
Thank you for answering my question.
Thank you for the question, my sister. It was absolutely beautiful.
And we're looking to have him on the galaxy, you know, so we have to make space for him, you know. Bring him, come.
There's space waiting for him.
All right, you hear that? Yeah?
I heard that loud.
He's been interviewed and everything already, so
right.
All being well.
Right, so space there for you, man. So no ramp yourself.
Okay.
Yeah? You
sound like you've woken up now.
Yeah, you're deep on the rock. You're deep on the rock, but you have to come on the mainland.
I hear you.
You have to come on mainland.
Like that.
Yeah?
I love your Belgian accent, by the way. Oh my days.
The man's a Belgian man at the best in maths. That's right. He were right. He were right.
No. Don't even try.
Big up to all the Barbadians out there. Rising up, can I bun Queen Elizabeth? So I just want rising up, yeah? Good night, Sister Shanice, right? No more calls. I just see phone's ringing now. No more calls, because I'm going home to my house. I live somewhere, right? No, your tune is coming, brethren. Your tune is coming. Listen, your tune is coming. You know. I'm on it, brethren. I'm on it, but I've got a text here I just want to read out.
Sure.
Yeah, it says, "Can you read out the number again? The number again for when they want to."
Sure. 7948 746 758. That's 07948 746 758.
All right, there's a couple of texts here, and I'm going to read these last two texts. I'm going to play your request, yeah?
Appreciate it.
Right?
Appreciate it.
Yeah. You look, it's supposed to be a soul show. Thank you, my brother. We'll give thanks now with Sister Maxine. Big up on yourself. I sorry I was yawning a bit. It wasn't that I was bored with my brother. It's just that I'm a bit tired. You know what I mean? Empress and now what? Big up yourself every time. Saying, rise up, beloved. Give thanks for the schoolroom. More strength. A true king of his castle. Yes. It's a pi ratio. So, you know, any last words you want to say, my brother? I mean, I really appreciate love you coming to this interview.
I'm humbled. I'm humbled. You know, I admire the work you do, my brother. Not only on Galaxy, but, you know, in the community. I admire it to the max. You have inspired me, not only in the work that I do, but in all the things that I do. You inspire me. We see each other out on the road, and for a longer time you've always said, P, you know, you need to be doing this, you need to be doing... So I give you enough props, my brother.
Oh, no, my brother.
Enough props. You know, I don't believe you have yet fulfilled your what is on your journey. The numbers are not adding up at the moment. I'm not lying to you. There is certainly more to
the numbers are you have to get that one in, innit? You have to get that one in, innit?
I just want to say,
I'm not taking no more calls, so please.
I just want to say to all the listeners, you know, maths is what rules the world, irrespective of what others people want to tell you. Numbers and signs is what does it. And so it's really, really important that students, young mathematicians, right, you've got to gravitate to it, right? And if at the moment you are not understanding it, do not blame yourself. It's not you, it's whoever's teaching you. And parents, encourage your children to embrace maths. You yourself, it's never too old. You're not too old.
I'm coming to a maths lesson, mate. I'm coming.
You're not too old, and it opens up many avenues for you. Believe me, and it gives you a lot of confidence. All right? So, OTEP to the whole family out there. You know?
We give thanks.
And thank you for all the sentiments that have been coming from
Galaxy Afiwe.
Yes.com.
We don't give because we have much. We give because we know what it's like not to have.
Wow. Yeah.
Let me just play the piece by the great Dr. Abu. Yeah? Because him say it the sweetest.
Yes, okay.
We don't give because we have much. We give because we know what it's like not to have.
Wow.
Our family, the Galaxy family,
profound,
Afiwe family.
Yeah. So, we've got one. This is my sister, Bev. She said, I would love to start maths lessons. You see, it's all happening here, man. It's all happening here, man. I'm telling you. Right. Last text reads, pi ratio. How useful is Sudoku? And is there a formula? Do you know about that?
Sudoku, is that a game?
I don't know. It just says Sudoku. And is there a formula?
You'd have to break that one down a bit more. What do they mean?
I don't know, man.
Sorry. I don't know what.
You see, he doesn't know everything, does he?
No, I don't.
All right. Well, I'm gonna say we give thanks unto the creating force of the universe, omnipotent being, that which is greater than ourselves, who has many names. And may the ancestors bless, guide and protect you, my brother. May you continue to Africate our children with Afritic mathematics. and open up our pineal gland and help us to get into the sciences. Because as our great eminent prophet in His Excellency Marcus Mosiah Garvey said, we must train our children in the higher sciences. And I'm so proud of you, brother, to see that how you've blossomed from the time we link back again. You know what I mean? And how you've embraced not just the mathematics, but you've incorporated the African spirituality, the Afrocentric thing, and all the rest of it. And big up to your queen and your children. Every time.
Amazing.
Yeah?
Amazing.
So,
absolutely amazing.
We say, Itepe Ineke Jea Senebe, divine peace, long life, stability, and good health. Onita Magba, Tonomofila, Ulodumare Jo, Jakaba. May the path that we take be prosperous. Olodumare, please. And I shall play your tune for you now,
Thank you.
Otep.
Otep, family.
Sudoku is a number puzzle in newspapers and in books.